And we are live in the House of Commons. The UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson under fire and fielding off questions from Keir Starmer and leaders of the opposition Labour Party and discussions about the Sue Gray report. And now we can cross live to Arise News correspondent Laila Johnson-Salami, who is at Westminster at the moment. Laila, Mr. Johnson has been, he's been given a rough ride there in the House of Commons in the last few minutes. Can you give us an update on the latest?
Absolutely. What we've just heard certainly is the Prime Minister being given a rough ride, Howard. That's very correct. But at the same time, very similar to what we saw in last week's PMQs, the Prime Minister is very, very willing to stand there and defend himself. He's there insisting that he cannot comment on an open investigation, doing what he can to deter the conversation or deflect away from what's shadowing over the entire Parliament right now, which is the partygate scandal. He's talking about COVID, successes with COVID. He's talking about Ukraine and how much more serious the situation is getting, and insisting that he is not going to comment on an open investigation. Now, this shows us what we did feel last week, and it's sort of proving us right there, which is that this is a Prime Minister who is not going to go down without a fight. Let's not forget that the Met just announced that they are opening up a police investigation into the Partygate scandal just yesterday. So we did expect a lot of heat to come out of the PMQs today, but of course the Prime Minister to also stand there and defend himself, which is what he's doing. Now, for most of the British public who are watching that could be very aggravating to see a Prime Minister standing there with still very little remorse for the situation, especially now that he is being investigated. Some people do feel as though he does owe answers to the public. He should be able to stand there and answer these questions. Did you break the ministerial code on the 1st of December and on the 8th of December in 2021? And if so, why are you still standing here? So he is going to continue deflecting away from these questions until the Sue Gray report and the subsequent Met Police investigation do come out. That's what to expect from Boris Johnson, really and truly.
Now, Laila, the calls for him to resign show no signs of letting up, but his team still firmly back him. His Foreign Secretary, Liz Truss, came out again today to voice her own support. A lot, though, hangs on the official report in these Downing Street parties, doesn't it?
Even to begin planning a single, integrated, long-term strategy to clean up the river.
Absolutely. So what you can see from a lot of the Prime Minister's allies is more of a focus on the culture of Downing Street rather than his actual role in what's happened and where he's gone wrong. Expected from his allies, I must say. But what this tells us is that what we may see is the Prime Minister's closest team trying to get rid of those around him who may be mentioned in such scandals. Now, this is all speculation, but there have been reports of, people like the Chief Whip, Mark Spencer, also members of Downing Street that are very close to his wife, Carrie Johnson. People like that could eventually be let go to save the Prime Minister. So it's very obvious that those closest to him are trying to do all that they can to keep him in power, even if that means shifting the blame away from him to other people who are also involved in the situation. Now, I must say as well, Takumba, because not too long ago, about 15 minutes ago, I had an off-the-record conversation with a member of the House of Lords. Now, he's a crossbencher, so he doesn't belong to any political party, and he was saying that he finds this situation absolutely absurd. He was bringing up corruption and allegations of corruption under this administration. He brought up the Owen Paterson case, the case of an MP who had to resign over potential COVID fraud not too long ago, and he was saying that he believes that the Prime Minister should be gotten on account of all of this rather than the Partygate scandal if we really want to get anywhere or if the British public wants to get anywhere with replacing the Prime Minister. So you can see that there's so much going on here. The situation is not looking like one that's going to get better for the Prime Minister at all. We are expecting that the Sue Gray report is due out at any moment now. That could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be next week. Although it has also been said that it's unlikely to be tomorrow, and if it's not today, it's possibly going to be Friday. The way. So you can see that there are mixed reactions here, but yes, his nearest and dearest are going to do anything that they can to keep him in power, even if that means changing the so-called culture of Downing Street by getting rid of people around him.
So, Laila, have we heard any more about the Met Police investigation into the Downing Street parties? What's happening there?
Published earlier this month by the EAC, making recommendations about what else should be done in addition to the welcome...
Well, the latest that we've heard regarding the Met Police investigation is the Met Police coming out to say that their investigation is in no way at all holding up the Sue Gray report, and it's not stopping Sue Gray from releasing her findings. Now, we don't know exactly how long it's going to take for the Met Police to get to the bottom of things and release their findings to the public, but we do know that this could be a couple of weeks. Not because there's that much to investigate. If you think about it, given the kind of investigations that the Met Police work on, this is a pretty straightforward case. But for the simple reason that there may be quite a number of people who have to be interviewed and spoken to, because this is the Prime Minister that we're talking about here. This is the highest leader in the United Kingdom, so it may take that bit longer. We don't know exactly when it's going to come out, but we do know they're now investigating, and we do know that they've made it clear that they are in no way at all holding up the Sue Gray reports or stopping the Sue Gray report from coming out. I must also add that it has been reported by Sue Gray's office that she does want, apparently, for this report to be published in full and not the findings of the reports, which is another thing that was brought up in the Prime Minister's questions about 5 minutes ago. The Tory party have been big on releasing simply the findings of the report, but we hear that Sue Gray herself apparently does want the report to be published in full. Now, those closest to the Prime Minister have said that this could pose security issues. The question is, what security issues exactly are we talking about? The British public want to know. So we don't know exactly how that's going to go, but we do know that right now everyone's on their toes, waiting for this report to come out. Most people are fed up and just want some sort of conclusion. And for many members of the Conservative Party as well, they've been waiting on this report to come out because they feel that Boris Johnson should have some sort of a fair hearing before they decide on whether they're going to submit letters to the 1922 committee, and that's letters of no confidence. So this report is going to play a key role in the future of Boris Johnson and the future of the Conservative Party. We just have to wait and see. As for the Met Police, it could be a couple weeks before we get anything back from them.
We too are anxiously awaiting that report. Thank you so much for your report this afternoon, Laila Johnson-Salami.